Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Friday, the 24th of February 2023. I'm Adam Lang. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about, so let's jump into it. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 finished the day up 0.3% to 7,307 points. It was a better day for the large caps. All the major banks were higher, led by Commonwealth Bank, which finished up 1.3% to $101.22. Commonwealth Bank has been sold off since reporting 10 days ago. From its peak this month to its low, it fell nearly 10%, though has fought back and finished the week about where it began. It was a rough session for the iron ore miners, with BHP down 1.6% to $45.94 and Fortescue Metals off 1.7% to $22.44, and Rio Tinto down 3.6% to $118.92. Aristocrat Leisure jumped 2.8% to $36.88 after announcing a strong half-year profit, and logistics software group WiseTech Global had another strong day, up 4% to $63.12. The stock is now up nearly 80% since its low in the middle of last year. That's a good turn. Story number 2, Brambles, the pallet maker, reported a 9% rise in net profit for the December half and upgraded its earnings guidance, sending its share price up 7.5%. While the group has reported inflation in input costs, it's been able to pass on the higher prices onto customers. The good news is that boss Graham Chipchase reckons there are signs that inflation is lessening. Brambles operates around 340 million pallets, crates and containers across 60 countries around the world. One of the challenges for the group has been the practice, particularly in Europe and Australia, of retailers hoarding pallets. Basically, they've built up stock which is sitting on Brambles pallets. Chipchase said retailers had finally started to step back from pallet hoarding slowly. Story number 3, US giant Block, which 12 months ago bought buy now, pay later operator Afterpay, says the Aussie group's bad debts are under control and won't rise materially even though interest rates are rising. Afterpay contributed around $1.2 billion of revenue to Block last year, and about $850 million of that was gross profit. Block, whose shares jumped as much as 8% this morning, said in a fourth quarter briefing that Afterpay was growing strongly in January and February, with sales up 19%. Loss rates, which measures losses as a percentage of sales, are expected to stay around 1% at Block, which is about half the level of the main competitor in Australia, Zipco. Block's share price rose 5.9% today to close at $115.31. Story number 4, the Sydney Morning Herald and the Age newspapers reported today of a highly active hive of Russian spies posing as diplomats operating in Australia for more than 18 months before being dismantled in an aggressive counter-espionage offensive by ASIO. The Australian Security Intelligence Organisation spent months tracking the Russian spy ring, which comprised purported embassy and consular staff and operatives using other deep cover identities, before ASIO finally moved to force the ring's key players out of Australia, the report says. On Tuesday, ASIO Director General Mike Burgess described the spying operation in a speech but did not name Russia. The spy ring operated out of a number of locations, including the Russian embassy in Canberra. While the Morrison government was in power, its aim was to recruit Australians with access to classified information and use sophisticated technology to steal data and communicate without being intercepted. And story number 5, China has called for a ceasefire in Ukraine, portraying itself as a neutral actor that can end the year-long war. The Foreign Ministry in Beijing today released a 12-point plan calling for an end to hostilities, protecting nuclear plants, resuming peace talks, and eliminating sanctions. Experts say the plan has little chance of working because the Ukraine said it will fight until Russia leaves its border, and Moscow has shown no sign of stopping its attacks. Also, Kyiv is unlikely to consider Beijing an impartial mediator. After all, Chinese President Xi Jinping has spoken to Vladimir Putin 4 times over the past year and not once to Volodymyr Zelensky. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 24th of February, 2023. Michael Thompson, Sean Aylmer, and I will be back tomorrow morning for the weekend edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Adam Lang. Enjoy your evening.